You have to pinch yourself, remind yourself that only 5 years ago, China and India were fighting a mini war up in the Himalayas when China encroached on Indian territory. And so this is a remarkable turnaround, and it is testament to the cack-handed diplomacy of Trump. Just recently, India was being promoted as a member of the D10, the 10 most democratic leading democracies in the world. And now here he is, shoulder to shoulder with two authoritarian leaders.
President Xi is there rolling out the red carpet for leaders around the world, including President Putin of Russia and Narendra Modi of India. They're all attending the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Some say we're seeing the birth of an anti-NATO. China denies trying to create a military alliance, but there does seem little doubt that its aim is to form stronger ties that help it challenge US dominance. And it seems to be working too. We saw Modi and Putin bizarrely walking hand in hand at the summit, although Putin did look quite uncomfortable. Well, joining us now is Ian Williams, longtime foreign correspondent in Russia and Asia, and author of Vampire State, The Rise and Fall of the Chinese Economy. Good morning.
Good morning, Kate.
Great to have you with us, Ian. Let's start with how what China sees this moment as, because there are lots of people who say China is taking advantage of America, stepping back from the world stage. What do you make of President Xi's actions?
I think the display, the piece of theatre almost you could call it, that we saw in Tianjin and goes on there is the most visible fallout we've seen from Trump's diplomacy, from Trump's tariffs. China has been working very hard. It was preparing, I think, before the Trump presidency for this, but working very hard to pitch itself as a world leader, as the reasonable leader, as the champion of globalization, promoting a new form of global governance. Now, a lot of this, of course, is absurd because China's rise has been very much built upon coercion and bullying, but it is opportunism. And I think what we're witnessing at the moment in Tianjin and what we'll see later this
Oh, Ian, we seem to have lost you.
dictator from North Korea.
Oh, we've got you back. Sorry, we lost you there momentarily, but you're back with us.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, I think what we're seeing is a very visible display of Xi's ambition to build a new world order centered on China. And this is the most stark display of that we've seen.
And as I mentioned there, William Hague interprets what we're seeing from China as basically Donald Trump's failure to recognise what America stepping back from the world stage would mean. Is that your sort of interpretation of what's going on?
It is, and I think that the display we saw yesterday from Narendra Modi holding Putin's hand, riding in the car with him, huddled with Xi, smiling, laughing, is the most visible display of that. Because after all, the United States before Trump and Western allies have worked very hard to court Modi, to bring him on board, to join this coalition to contain China. And you have to pinch yourself, remind yourself that only 5 years ago, China and India were fighting a mini war up in the Himalayas when China encroached on Indian territory. And so this is a remarkable turnaround, and it is testament to the cack-handed diplomacy of Trump. Just recently, India was being promoted as a member of the D10, the 10 most democratic leading democracies in the world. And now here he is, shoulder to shoulder with two authoritarian leaders. Now, how much substance there is to that, how serious we should take that, I'm a little skeptical, because I think the message Modi is sending is to Trump. He's also sending a message back home saying, hey, I've got other friends. I don't need you. I won't be pushed around. And I don't like the way that you are cozying up to Pakistan.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. Obviously, all these photos that we see and the fact that we're talking about Modi and Putin and Xi having a sort of cozy conference together, it will cause some people to be worried. But what's the reality here for Western nations like the US, like us, like the rest of Europe? What can these countries really do now to make a difference, I suppose, to the international order? Do you think they can?
Well, the international order as described, or the new international order as described by Xi, is very woolly. It's very opaque. It's not clear what it really adds up to, other than it being anti-American, which is why it's got a lot of appeal to Putin and to others. The organization that he was speaking at, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, is itself a strange beast created 2 decades ago, comprising a lot of Central Asian and South Asian countries, bitterly divided internally, set up to extend Chinese influence. And I think the problem is, for all the talk about the American hegemon and American bullying, there aren't that many countries that would want to replace that, even though they might not like it, with China, with the Chinese hegemon. And so it is a hard sell from Xi. He's making all the right noises. He's trying to reinvent himself. He's trying to shape shift as the great friend of the global South, as they now term less developed countries. But there is a lot of global wariness towards China because of their personal experience, and of course the support by China for Russia's aggression in Ukraine does not play out well in Central Asia, whose leaders were among that audience yesterday.
Mm.
So I think that while we do need to be worried, while we do need to be wary, and while these images are very concerning, we have to recognize that, it is still a challenge for China to present itself as the leader of this new world order because of this deep-seated wariness.
Yeah. I want to ask you finally, Ian, we mentioned almost sort of as a throwaway at those photos of Narendra Modi and President Putin hand in hand. I have to say that the Russian president looked deeply, deeply uncomfortable. How close do you think his relationship really is with these other two men, with Modi and with Xi? Or do you think it is just about the cameras for him? Because to me, it looked still like he was a bit of a third wheel here.
Yeah, it's cold and calculating. That's what's driven the relationship with China. It's all about interests, less than ideology. And I think with India as well, there's a long-standing relationship between Russia and India. It goes back to the Soviet Union, to the anti-colonial struggle. So that India is better disposed towards Russia than other countries. But certainly there was a discomfort there, as you pointed out, and there is a sense that perhaps they think that Modi is playing his own game. I mean, this was a piece of theatre, a remarkable piece of theatre in many ways, each of them playing their own role, pitching to different audiences, and perhaps, that the Russians playing their traditional role of the Prince of Darkness yesterday, meeting while Ursula von der Leyen's plane's GPS was being
Yeah.
disabled over Europe, but wary towards what Modi's true intentions are, and perhaps realizing that they are players in his bigger game also.
Yeah, it's fascinating to watch, Ian. Thanks very much for interpreting it for us.